This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so today is Friday, July 24th, and as always, everything that we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. All right, so let's talk about what we got going on so far. First thing we have is this ENT. Now, the one big thing I want you to think about is as we came up to 6, we had a little bit of buying that came at that 6 level, but we got no reaction afterwards up here. So it wasn't shocking whatsoever that we fell underneath. But you can see as it fell, we are building here. I mean, we're definitely getting some nice new buying coming around that 550 and above, 560, 567, 570. So definitely still seeing that new buying coming up to tell us that we have another run at 6, but what we really want to see is more ask prints at 6 and then that reaction that's going to come in afterwards to show us that we still have the ability to continue on its way, because as of right this second, nice building on the lower side of things, but we really do need to see those controlling prints and buying near those highs to show us that we still have our ability to continue. We're just not there yet, so that's exactly what we're going to be looking for. And as we're talking, it's pretty much coming to that level. So definitely pay very close attention to what we see here at 6, and then obviously the reaction above at that 6 level. Next thing, MIST, M-I-S-T. So this was another perfect example. Coming into that 10 level, we had some okay buying. It wasn't anything too special, but what happened is, again, we didn't really get any type of great reaction that came over that 10 level. Okay, when that happens, we just see it. It's like clockwork. We end up coming right back down. So just not really enough. Now, it definitely does have the buy. Based off of yesterday, the amount of times that we've hit that 9 level, the amount of buying that we've seen coming into this morning, it certainly does have the ability to come back up. But because we didn't really get what we needed to see at that 10, unfortunately, the percentages do go a little bit lower. But as long as we get some nice breakout volume that comes into this and we get a nice trigger towards that upside, again, 10 is a huge psychological level. So we're going to see a lot of games there. So we want to see a better reaction than we typically would. Let's say if the stock was at 9 or the stock was at 8, somewhere in that area, because of how big of a psychological level it is. So one thing is that, again, I'm not seeing enough buying. There's a little bit that started coming in, as we kind of pulled up here, but again, really need to see that volume and breakout, and especially some new buying coming in as we're sitting in this consolidation down here, because technically we can, and it's in a little bit of a staircase. It's ugly on the minute chart. If you come over here and look over and just consolidate it, it's definitely a lot cleaner there. So it definitely has the ability to come back up, but just remember your percentages. So you want to make sure that that volume and that trigger is just, there's nothing, no question whatsoever behind it in order for us to be able to get back there. ENT, which we just went over. We have NTZ, next one. So I was able to get shares coming into this morning, and I want to show you, which it's not going to let me, but we've had some huge selling that's been coming into this as we've been coming down towards that 2 level. You can see this 225 and then underneath it. So definitely giving the prints at the minor and showing this shows that it definitely has more room towards that downside, especially because the amount that it moved up on this morning wasn't really that great. Our volume was actually bigger coming towards that downside than it was towards that upside. So definitely go out there and make sure that you can find some shares. And the biggest thing is going to be able to break this 2. If we break this 2, coming back down to this double bottom is not going to be a very hard thing to do with the amount of selling that we've seen in it so far. But right now, volume is definitely kind of just tailoring off a bit. So we're going to need to see, obviously, that start to come back in. And then ABUS. So Doug was telling me this morning that he was watching it yesterday in the aftermarket, had beautiful buying at 6 and at 7. Now we jumped up, but it just wasn't really much there, but we're starting to see some really nice buying coming in. You can see the 750, you can see down here underneath that 740, there's no new lack of buying whatsoever here. So I am going to be expecting, because of the amount of buying, for us to pull back again off of that 750 level before we would look for that trigger back towards that upside. Absolutely has the buying to be able to get back towards this orb line. And then the double top, it's going to, we're going to need to see some type of reaction here around that 850 in order to tell us that we're going to really be able to break out coming into the morning. And that's pretty much it. So INTC, I know, obviously had took a huge hit, it looks like, on earnings, but I just haven't seen anything there. I'm not a big fan of this stock. I mean, there's too many prints for too low of a range, and when that happens, it just makes life harder for not as much money. So it definitely fits all the criteria. I'm just personally, that's probably one of the last things that I would end up looking at. They obviously, as well, big name brand stock, and like I said, it's just a lot of work for not that big of a range. So, it should definitely, obviously, based off what we have, should definitely have a bigger range than usual. But I'm just not not something I like to start my morning with. I'm going to be looking at a lot of cheaper stocks coming in. Like I said before, after one of our class weeks, I don't really trade that much. So have a lot to make up for, and I'm going to do it on a lot of these cheaper stocks. So that's what my game plan personally is going to be. Now, anything else out there that I missed? I know that MGEN, that's another one where, it's got a nice consolidation coming. But again, I can't, put this as a suggestion for the morning list because of the fact that it's so cheap that if we get what we want, it's going to end up getting halted. PTE, same type of deal. I mean, I just didn't see enough that came into here for me to really be that interested. I mean, it's not terrible. It's something that you definitely want to keep an eye on. I'll put it on a side list. But it's, I just didn't see anything in it that really gave me that indication that it's going to be able to really get any type of real movement coming into it. SRNE just popped up with absolutely no real prints. Oh, here we go. Okay, I like this right here, 780, and then jumped over that 8 and then gave it that print at 803. This is obviously right at 9 o'clock. So yeah, I like it a lot. Definitely. I like that reaction that we saw because the print personality you can see is not that big. It's not really getting that huge of anything. Most of the bigger prints that bigger bursts of prints that we had were from yesterday. So definitely like that. Okay, but under 8 side list, if any. Yeah, no, but I like it. I like it based off, once again, this right here, this is what I look for, okay? Because of the fact that we had those prints coming to 780, I love those, but they're not exactly what I'm looking for. I love what happened here is that the reaction at 8 was over to start buying. So I do like that. Like it a lot. All right, guys, anything else out there that I missed? Anything else we got going on? We don't have a huge list today, but guess what? We have a lot of quality stuff, and that's all that matters. It only takes that one to start our day with. So that looks like it. All right, so remember, it is Friday. There will be no afternoon meeting, but I will be here all day. So let's get ready for, let's make sure that we're focusing on what we just did in classes and really kind of, especially with these cheaper stocks, making sure we're looking for exactly what we need to show us that it still has that room. Patience, as always, it is a Friday, so things, technically should be a little bit slower, although at the end of the day, that hasn't really happened too much based off of, just the days that we've had. But, same thing as always, the trades come to us and we'll go from there. All right, guys, we'll talk to everybody in the chat and happy trading.